Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind the scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Hi there, I'm Chris Stashew.
And I'm Jess Bourdain.
And we are the hosts of The One Season Show, a podcast where we take a look at TV shows that only lasted one season.
Every month we'll tackle several episodes of the show. This week we are finishing Kitchen Confidential.
Yep.
Done with our second season of The One Season Show.
Yeah, Kitchen Confidential had to come to an end eventually, and we are here to talk about the final 3 episodes. An affair to remember, power play, and the award goes to...
I've been moving since 9 o'clock, but life is on the cutting block. Gotta face things, it's time to move. I've gotta get my life in tune. Hey, yeah, look at my days, yeah, these are my ways, yeah, ain't it insane?
So An Affair to Remember, directed by Lev L. Spiro, written by Leslie Wake. It stars the only guest star of note, and I would say it's a rather big one, is Firefly's own Morena Baccarin. And she plays the mistress that Jack Bourdain sleeps with. The mistress of who, you might ask? Of Pino, Jack's boss.
Remember Frank Langella, who's in the show sometimes?
He, shows up. He comes up to get that.
Yeah, and then he and then is it this episode or is it I don't know which one of the episodes we're coming up to here? He just gives the restaurant away so he can leave.
It is this episode.
Oh, is it this? Oh, okay, yeah. So he shows up in this episode. We haven't seen him really much in the last few, aside from a few snippets here and there.
He's almost like Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, kinda. We're just like, and I'm here, some shit, and bye. Yeah.
This episode is not good.
No, this is just another episode of Jack is too much of a stud for his own good, and now he's in trouble because of it.
Yep.
Which is about half of these episodes. Half of these episodes are Jack Bourdain getting in trouble because of his dick.
Well, I think the better way to put it is, it's all of these episodes' storylines with Jack.
Yeah, which I mean, and he's your protagonist. He's our main character, and he's not changing. He's not developing. He's not necessarily a good person or even a likable person. The only reason he's, somewhat charismatic is because Bradley Cooper is charismatic.
Right, exactly.
If he were played by, if he was switched with any of the other actors in this, I don't think he could pull it off. This character is unlikable, but not funny enough unlikable, like, say, Seinfeld, or It's Always Sunny, or, Curb Your Enthusiasm, even, where it's like, yeah, all those people are assholes in those shows for the most part, but they're funny enough to maintain that. And also, especially with It's Always Sunny, they always, their plans always get fucked up and it always backfires on them and they don't win.
Right.
Jack wins in every episode. Whatever bad happens gets brushed under the table.
Except for the brunch episode.
Kind of.
Becky ends up putting one over on him in that brunch episode.
Yeah, fine, but he still has his restaurant and he still doesn't learn and sleeps with her again, so...
I'm not giving the show an excuse. I am merely just commenting on, there is at least one episode where Jack Bourdain doesn't get away with it.
Right, fine, but it's not like any of... there's no real consequence to him not getting away with it. It's just shucks, I guess I just can't win him every time, but I'm gonna win him most of the time. Yeah, no, this episode's not good. It's a feisty Italian woman that Pino is sleeping with and not leaving his wife for. Puts Jack in the middle of them, and it works out in Jack's favor because Pino thinks of it as like a boss move and promotes, like, just like lets him be fine, like just be okay, like, yeah, you're great, and that's it.
Well, and he also
gives the restaurant to gives the restaurant to his daughter, and okay.
Well, and he also gives Jack the apartment above the restaurant.
Right? Yes.
Not that
because
matters.
His mistress isn't in it anymore.
Yeah. Not that matters.
No, like, that's just another, like, okay, so you slept with Pino's mistress, fucked everything up, and you got the apartment in the end. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Good for you, bro. Like,
well, he essentially did Pino's dirty work for him.
Right, exactly. And he's getting rewarded for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not good. I mean, it's not a good episode. I think that this is one of, like, the bigger dud episodes that we've had on the show.
I mean, coming into, like, the last home stretch of these episodes, I know that this show is its ultimate downfall was baseball, like, ratings-wise, numbers-wise. That is why it was canceled. But right. I don't see, just based on the quality of these episodes and sort of the story trajectory not really having a trajectory and none of the characters really evolving, I can't see that this show would have lasted much past a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons anyway.
Not if people,
especially with Bradley Cooper's career.
Right. Well, and not if people weren't, like, feeling like they were just getting upset with the show being complacent.
Yeah, or just the same thing, honestly. Like, just every take away my general feelings of it not aging well and my want for it to be more, like, have more driven story. It's the same thing every episode, almost. It's the same beats. It's the same kind of, like, all the jokes are roughly the same. Right. Each character's, like we were talking in the last episode, how Nicholas Brendan's character essentially is just always harboring the gay jokes. It's just one tricks all over the place, and it gets boring. And I think that people would have just kind of tuned out because there was nothing keeping them, like, hooked on this show. It wasn't funny enough to where they'd be quoting it all the time, and, like, like something like that, or like a Seinfeld or whatever. And there's no story or characters gripping enough to keep people on the hook. I don't think that baseball necessarily would have been the only factor in this show's downfall had it continued past the first season.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think ultimately, this episode is one of those episodes where it's just like, okay, fine, like, you're gonna get this one out of the way, like, whatever. Like, it moves the plot along, but, like, so
well,
what?
We have to talk about the B plot, which was of this episode, which was inevitable, and I'm honestly kind of surprised this B plot didn't happen earlier, but the oh no, Jim's a virgin episode, because we all saw that coming. And just sidebar on Jim, like, yeah, he's funny here and there, but honestly, he is one of those characters that really fucking irritates me in, like, movie and TV world, where they're just so dumb and naive that they really wouldn't be able to function in real life. Like
you
like
can't
shit
exactly
with, like,
know what the growth from zero is. Jim, die. Like, dude, you're so
right.
dumb. You're a dumb character.
Right. He's just so stupid. It's confounding that, like, if you were a person in real life, there's no way you would have gotten to this point in your chef, like, career. Like, there's
you probably wouldn't be able to function and, like, dress yourself.
No, he's effectively like a child, basically. Like, it just with no, like, I mean, you would probably be able to dress yourself. You would just end up wearing, like, like 2 different shoes and
right. You know what I mean? He's, like, too stupid for his own good.
Exactly, and it's played off as that he's just naive and good-hearted and gee golly gosh, isn't he so swell? And it's fucking irritating.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
It's not funny. It's overdone. It's the same beat by beat up to even, to this plot point of course, he's a virgin. Oh no. So now the bros of the kitchen have to take him out to the bar and try to get him to hook up with somebody, but oh no, they're gonna sleep with all the ladies instead. Ha ha ha.
Because they like getting ass. Hilarious. Like, okay.
Right, and they're always getting ass. Like, isn't that so cool, guys? Don't you want to be like these guys? It's just annoying.
Wait, you don't?
Well, maybe I do.
I mean, look, here's the thing, and you know this having worked in the service industry, and I have ostensibly now worked in the service industry for almost a year now. There is a lot of screwing that goes on in the service industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A lot.
And that's where the show does excel. Like, like some of the kitchen antics, like in the last episode when we were talking about the brunch episode, and a lot of what, the only good things in that episode are the staff dealing with brunch, like dealing with the reality of what brunch means to a restaurant. And those moments are the truly, like, the funniest moments of this show, and the relatable ones that it's like, if you've worked in a kitchen, sure, even if you haven't worked in a fucking 5-star, every plate's $70 kind of restaurant, you've worked in a restaurant, though. And fundamentally, every restaurant is the same. You work in a kitchen to make other people food, and the other people can treat you in any varying degrees of shit that they want you to treat you in, and you just kind of have to take it. And then the people that you work with also get to treat you like shit, because there's the stupid hierarchy. And yeah, all that stuff exists, and that's fun. But again, if I want to watch just some, like, fun, relatable kitchen antics, I'll watch them in, like, Waiting or something, where it's a contained movie that's like an hour and a half, and then I move on with my life. But a whole show of occasionally some funny kitchen antics, not gonna cut it.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you're completely right. The thing that I do love about Waiting is that Waiting, which also stars John Francis Daly, and I believe it came out within a couple years, if not the same year as this.
Yeah, definitely around this time.
It went for it. And look, I think we'd be having a different conversation about this show if the show had gone for it. If it had been able to go for it, right?
Yeah, if it wasn't playing on whatever Fox's, like, programming restrictions. And, because Waiting gets pretty non-friendly, non-TV friendly. And that, honestly, that shit happens in kitchens. So you just go for it because it's there and people are going to laugh at it.
Yeah, dudes showing each other their junk and, saying homophobic stuff. Like, in Waiting, I give it a pass, or the movie goes for it anyways.
Well, in Waiting, like, those characters are all like, these are the assholes, these are the assholes of the
Exactly.
restaurant.
They're deplorable.
These aren't the cool guy, like these, and I think maybe that's where we have a difference, where Jack Bourdain's Nolita is a high-end, like,
right,
fine dining. So all of these people who work in this kitchen are really fucking good cooks, and they are talented with, they're, ostensibly artists of the food world. In Waiting, it's just your fucking Rockneys knockoff, whatever chain restaurant with your everyday average people. But still...
What did you say? Wait, what's the name of the restaurant?
Well, I said Rockneys, but that's a local chain.
Okay. I was like, say what?
Fridays would probably be a better... Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, like a Fridays, just a general chain. Applebee's, here you are. Here's your shitty frozen food. Thank you. Right. Sort of thing. But... I think that, like, when we're watching stuff in Waiting, yeah, these people, the people who are dicks, and they're portrayed as that, and that's what they are. But there are other characters, like John Francis Daly, in Waiting, who are good characters and who evolve and who are, you're okay rooting for, you're okay being on their side for certain things. But in this show, pretty much everybody is a raging asshole, and they're rewarded for it constantly. And the only person that's not a raging asshole is a raging idiot. or they're all the female characters who are all varying degrees of dumb, bimbo, slut, stereotypes. They all, especially with the chefs, that there's a lot of sort of like, look at with Steven, and he's an attractive man, he's a cool guy, but he's a horrible asshole.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like, yeah, in Waiting, I don't feel bad for those characters because they're turds. In this show, it's just like, God, you guys don't have to be like this.
No, and you're not. And in Waiting, the shitty characters, get shitty things that happen to them.
Exactly.
They're not rewarded. They're not rewarded with apartments above their restaurant. They're not rewarded with their own restaurants for manipulation. Like they're not. Which brings us to Becky's final appearance? Or is she in the next one? No, she's in the next.
She's not in Power Play.
Oh no, she's not. That's the other.
Right. So the next episode is Power Play, which is directed by Matt Shackman, written by Stacey Traub. Doesn't have any guest stars of note, and Mimi is in charge, and Tanya and Jim kiss.
Yep, that's what happens.
And like the thing with Tanya's character is Tanya is finally getting a character.
Kind of.
It's better than where she was at the beginning of the season.
I guess.
That's not saying much,
honestly,
but...
She just has more lines, honestly, to me. She just has more lines and screen time, but she suffers the same fate as Jim does, is that she's the female counterpart of being too stupid to function.
She's the female
Jim. Also a bimbo. Like, to look at. Like, that's what they're going for. And that's... I don't know. I think that, sure, she has more to do, but I think that she's still the same character that she's been this entire time. She's just got more screen time.
Sure. No, I completely agree. I think, I appreciate that they've paired those two characters off because it makes sense.
Right, and the whole thing is like getting Nicholas Brendan's come up and sort of is like, hey, he's been fawning over this girl this whole time.
Right.
And then she falls for the nerdy virgin. And so, that's nice. We get some, like I said, some consequence to the assholery, but... I don't know. It's also really tired. Like, it's like, oh, the nerd gets the hot girl and it's one over. It's like, what am I watching? Some teenage, some teen comedy where it's
not original.
No, it's not. The show follows a lot of tropes. And I think that ultimately they should have committed more to Anthony Bourdain's book instead of trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do. Because right now it just feels like they took some elements from a book that was interesting and then shoehorned those elements into a very structured formula of a sitcom or television show that we've all seen. And we have to hit these same beats to get these same, cued laughs.
Thank God there's no laugh track.
Thank God.
I mean, there could have been.
Yeah, there could have been. I'm glad there's not.
Like, oh God.
It would have been. I would have been really even fucked up the reality they were going for even more.
I do like that Mimi is now the boss, but again, the characters have had arcs in as such that they're in different spots than they were at the beginning of the season, but their characters are the same.
Yeah, they have just gotten either more responsibility or different responsibility, but they have not grown as people. And this episode is a prime example for Jack, who, now that Mimi is in charge, feels that he can run the restaurant even more than he already did before when Pino was running it, because he has absolutely no respect for Mimi as a person or a boss or a woman, just nothing. He's a total all right, Mimi's in charge, that means I can walk all over her and do everything that I want to do. And the only way that she gets, back at him is by, again, manipulating his friends by offering them things that they want. And essentially that would be offering Steven, if a chance to essentially have an item that Jack didn't pick on the menu that he made, which would potentially upstage Jack, and we can't have that. And he doesn't really learn. I would still argue that he doesn't learn anything at the end of this episode. That he's still she's like, oh, you respect me. And he's like, not really, but.
Yeah, it's. Again, I think it's just another episode that just falls under. It feels like we just need to get to the end.
Yeah. And I don't know, okay, so this only season was 13 episodes. They only aired 3. Did they write and film all of these episodes before they got canceled?
They
or
sure,
were they
I
writing?
believe I believe they did.
Because it kind of feels like they know they were getting... I don't know. Like, it does kind of feel like they're writing to get, like, certain things wrapped up, but I guess they're not if they've written and filmed everything beforehand. But just the way, like, Frank Langella leaves the show and all that, it just kind of feels like they were trying to push some wrap-up, but I don't know. I think maybe that's just telling of the poor writing on it, honestly.
Well, the poor writing has been in effect this whole time.
Right.
At least, I would say the poor writing has been in effect since probably like the second half of the season. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah,
I would say so. Like, I think that the first half of the season started off pretty, like, fun. I enjoyed the characters, but it got pretty stagnant pretty quickly, and it was pretty evident early on that the episodes were going to be what they were pretty much every time. And then there's the last one, which is unfortunate that it's the last one.
Well, again, I think for me, when it comes down to this episode, I don't think it sets up the final episode very well.
No.
Right?
No, it doesn't. It just, it I guess, yeah, all the Becky episodes seem weird and misplaced, and I don't know if it's that they were out of order or if it's just that the character of Becky seems like she should be more and that there should be more happening, but there's not.
The final episode is directed by Lev L. Spiro, written by Corrine Rosenthal and Dean Lapata. It stars Rob Schuyler as the Epicure Judge, which is the prize that Nolita is nominated for in New York, along with Becky's restaurant, which is also one of Pino's restaurants, and Jack has to figure out how to win the award and keep the woman that he loves? ? Also, Jim is still with Tanya. The end.
Yeah, isn't that cute? And it makes Nicholas Brendan upset. Like, that's that. But yeah, so this episode is in direct relation to the last time we saw Becky, which was when she ultimately got her to run her own kitchen, which is another restaurant that Pino owns. So yeah, this is, again, Becky coming in to ostensibly get a peek in the kitchen and see what they're making and try and steal their secret weapon so that she can then use it in her restaurant and win the award. Because again, God forbid we allow this woman to win anything based on her own merits. She has to just keep stealing and manipulating from the men.
But then at the end of the episode, she turns around and doesn't do that.
Right, she learned her lesson like a good little girl.
Just you saying that is so creepy.
Right?
I got like a chill. Just a chill up my spine. Like a good little girl.
Like a good little girl. A good little girl. But yeah, no, I mean, sure, maybe she learns a lesson. I guess we'll never know because
her
this is the last episode.
Written.
But yeah, no, her character is definitely poorly written. And this was the only reason that they have her do that is so that Jack can maybe kind of say I love you without actually saying the words I love you.
But I don't know if you know this, but saying I love you is super gay.
Oh, it's super totes gay.
And characters in this show are #not gay. So
#no homo.
#no homo. Oh, yeah. Characters in this show would never be seen as saying they love anyone other than themselves or, quote, get an ass. So
right. Yeah, exactly.
And look, I still like this show. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, there are problems in this show that don't translate well to screen. We've talked about this. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that this is just the way the kitchen industry is like. I don't doubt that. And if I'm wrong, email me or tweet at us on Twitter or on Facebook and let me know if it's not that way. But the toxic masculinity in the kitchen, I'm sure, is never going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And
that's a toxic masculinity thing.
Yeah, because it's all about competition and being the best and being, if you can't be the best, then you have to be underhanded and you have to, just take opportunities where you see them. And that's what she's doing. And sure, I guess you can argue that because she's doing that, then, she's turning men can be underhanded. Men are underhanded, so can women. But that's just not, there's nothing else to her character to make her not just manipulative. Like that's her only traits other than that I'm not going to take shit from you. I mean, we didn't even mention in the one episode where she's getting in addition to using sex to manipulate Bradley Cooper into brunch, she also, in order to get Mimi to stop being her friend, just kisses her in the middle of the kitchen. And of course, all of the, everybody else in the kitchen who's a dude is just falling all over themselves. And so yeah, like we're getting every stereotype for Becky's character, and we're getting nothing else to warrant any kind of, that character development at the end where maybe she learned her lesson and maybe she didn't. No, she probably not. And you know why? And you know what? Even if they wanted to continue that and they do have her learn her lesson in the error of her ways, then fuck that too, because Jack hasn't learned shit. He's the same person since the whole time, aside from the fact that he's not... I mean, he's still having sex with people and walk-ins and all that shit that he was supposedly trying to avoid in the first couple episodes when he's trying to be good boy Jack. But the only thing that sticks from that is that we don't get any scenes of him being, trashed or hopped up on drugs. But he's still, fucking people in the walk-in all the time, and customers and people he works with, and it's... He learns nothing, so why should anybody else, really?
I mean, main characters learning lessons is dumb, right?
Yes, God forbid your protagonist does anything with their life.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, they it's not that they don't seem to care about creating growth with these characters. It's just it didn't ever seem to be at the forefront of their minds. Like laughs were it,
right?
I mean, you look at shows like Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. Even those shows have character growth, which is sad to say. That
exactly.
We're comparing anything to Big Bang Theory, the show that is essentially taking nerd subculture and putting it stupid.
But yeah, you're right. Things happen with consequence in that show. This show lacks consequence, but doesn't commit to its lack of reality any more past that.
Yeah, it's not depressing. It's just kind of whatever, fine.
It feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that, look, ultimately this show aired for all of 3 episodes. It would only go on to air for 1 season, technically. That's why we're talking about it. But at the end of the day, there are things about this show that really feel like a missed opportunity, and there are things about the show that feel like it was kind of hamstrung, tied hands from the beginning. I mean, the fact that it wasn't on a station that would allow it to do stuff like Waiting did, where you can use quote unquote,
you can be a bit more
foul,
raunchy.
Yeah, be raunchy, use quote unquote foul language, though I think the idea that we can't use certain words on TV is fucking stupid as it is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if this show had been on HBO or Showtime or even Cinemax, I think it would have fared better, because I think it would have been able to really get into
it would have been
Waiting
able to punch up it would have been able to punch up the humor, and it would have been able to punch up the drama. It would have been able to merge those better, because it would be able to have more layers and feel like a more developed show. Whereas Fox, it's also only each episode's with commercials would have been a half hour long.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's really they don't have a lot of room per episode to begin with, and then when they're just literally just doing one-offs for every episode, it just feels like a season of filler.
Well, and that's unfortunate.
It is, but hey, Bradley, like we were talking about, this show probably would have been doomed just due to Bradley Cooper's career taking off. And
I agree. I mean, they may have done in The Office and transitioned him out.
Right, yeah, they would have maybe brought in a new head chef, or one of the other people would transition to a head chef, and that's fine. That could have been interesting. Maybe they could have done more with that, and I think that this show did have a lot of opportunity, and I can definitely see where these characters, had they been given more to do, more, just more development as characters, I think the show could have been really good. It could have been a memorable, bunch of characters that you like to hang out with on a weekly basis. But ultimately it just kind of fell short, and especially with the just treatment of certain characters on this show.
I agree. I agree 100%. And look, I still love this show. I'm probably still going to rewatch this show, but it'll be kind of hard for me to not get over some of the nagging things. Right. I mean, I still enjoy stuff that hasn't aged well either. So, I mean, people still watch Friends, and apparently that show has all kinds of problems.
Oh, yeah, sure does.
Never seen an episode, by the way, and never will at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. If you didn't watch it in the 90s, there's no point in starting it in 2020.
Well, it's not like we don't have time.
Well, that's true, but there's so much more you could be watching.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%. So I'm going to ask you the big question. What was your favorite episode of the season? And what was your least favorite episode?
You know, I don't know. Like, none of the episodes, like, stick out to me as being like the funniest or anything, but I do I think I'm gonna go with the one where it's his mentor trying to eat himself to death, because I think that's the episode that really tried to commit to the absurdity that I think they wanted to go with, but
Dinner
never
Date with
managed
Death.
to get. Yeah, I the one that sounds it sounds like a Tales from the Crypt episode.
It really does.
If they had committed to that absurd tone, this show could have been, because that's the other thing, is this show didn't have to go like dramedy. Sure, that's maybe what I've been talking about more so, is how to make it better, but it also could have gone a different route and embraced that full-on just absurd pure comedy, and that could have been fun too. And I think that I don't know, they were like, fuck it, we're just gonna do this weird ass episode, and I appreciate
Well, it's the one that feels like It's Always Sunny. And that's like, this show felt like it could have been It's Always Sunny.
Right, it had that opportunity. It had that potential because, again, all the characters are sort of assholes, but they're just not. It's just not enough.
I agree. I'm gonna agree with you 100%. My favorite episode of this show, I've said it before, I'll say it again, is Dinner Date with Death. 100%. I love it. I think, like you've said, it's funny, and it really kind of grabs the absurd in a way that I like, and it doesn't really let go of the absurdity. I do like Teddy Takes Off, but that's because, like we talked about on the last episode, it's because John Cho's just so fucking
Yeah,
good.
I like that one a lot too. I think that one was probably one of the most consistently funny. As far as one that my least favorite episode,
Say it. Come on, it has to be the same one for both of us.
I can't remember what the title
It's
of it
French
is.
Fight.
Yes, yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah,
It's
French
literally
Fight.
our favorite episode, our least favorite episode, back to back.
Yep, essentially, yeah, because then it was just like, what the fuck, this is fucking stupid. This is fucking stupid, and yeah, no bueno.
No, real bad. Really not good in the worst way. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the way it treats female characters. I don't like a lot of it.
I mean, any of the episodes that are like, honestly, any of the episodes that do feature female characters prominently, I do have the most problems with because they're featured badly. I would almost rather them just not have episodes and just focus solely on the men of the restaurant rather than get the episodes with the stereotypes that we get.
The stereotypes are so good when they're just slutty women.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yeah.
Cleavage Confidential.
Got him. So, Jess, overall, where do you kind of give your postmortem? Because I think we should do a postmortem at the end of each season. We already did it for Werewolf. So, Jess, where is doing the postmortem for Kitchen Confidential? Kind of give your final thoughts on the show.
Overall, I think that this show, like I've said, it had grains of potential. The talent is there. Everybody that's in the show is they're good at what they do. Bradley Cooper is obviously very charismatic, and he's nice to look at. Everybody on the show does well with what they're given. It's just, unfortunately, they're not given a lot, and the show is very cold and empty for the most part to me. And I guess I would probably give it about maybe like a 2.5 out of 5 if we went with star ratings on shows overall, but 2.5, what was it, epicures out of 5. That'll be a send back.
I would give it 3.5. I mean, again, I have just as many problems as you do, but unfortunately, I still have a hard time, completely.
Yeah, I totally get it. It's also not one of those shows that, like, I can't just, like, that would be difficult for me to understand why it has an appeal. I totally get it. It's just that the errors and the things that stick out are just too much for me to push it over to that 3 out of 5. 2.5.
Yeah, for me it's 3.5. I mean, look, there's problems with it. It's not the best show. It's better than Werewolf. That's not saying much. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, when you look at a show like this, it does feel a lot more like missed potential than anything else. But hey, you know what? It still did a good enough job of being somewhat entertaining to more or less entertaining through 13 episodes, and that's not the same thing we could say for Werewolf.
Agreed.
Where can people find you, Jess?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at writer Jess Byard, and you can find me twice a month and occasionally in a bonus episode of the Culture Cast, where this month was Mike White March, and fittingly enough, it's dystopian sci-fi. So yeah, I'm over there, and yeah, you can find. I'm at home a lot now, folks. So I'm on Twitter. I'm creating stuff. I'm taking advantage of that. Reading a lot, hopefully, and chilling.
Future Jess or past Jess is telling future Jess to make sure that she's reading.
Yeah, and future Jess is gonna listen to this later and yell at past Jess.
Hopefully, by the time this episode airs, it won't matter. So
that's true.
There you go. Always the optimist, Chris Stasher. You can find me on Twitter with my unoptimistic Twitter handle, casualty_Chris. Twilight Zone 85, Barney Miller podcast, and Chronicles from the Crypt are where you can find me when I'm not here, along with the Culture Cast, which Jess already mentioned. Big thanks, as always, to Forever Sunset for City Lights, City Dreams, which was this season's music for the one-season show. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next episode.